Have you ever stopped to wonder why? Some days, it seems like your mind just won't turn on. You wake up, have coffee, start your day, but soon enough, mental fatigue sets in, difficulty concentrating, and the feeling of being on autopilot. This isn't just due to lack of sleep or stress. In fact, it may be related to what's happening inside your brain and your energy metabolism. And here comes an ingredient that seems too simple to be so powerful: apple cider vinegar. Imagine a substance used for thousands of years as a natural remedy, praised by Hippocrates as a health elixir, and consumed by Roman soldiers to increase stamina and focus in battle. Today, modern science is beginning to prove that this acidic liquid, which fits in a simple spoonful, can have a profound impact on brain energy, mental clarity, and even hormonal balance. Sounds far-fetched? Well, that's exactly what we'll explore in this video. Our brain is one of the most demanding organs in the human body. Although it represents only 2% of body weight, it consumes about 20% of the total energy we produce. This means that any fluctuation in how we metabolize glucose, balance hormones, or regulate our bowel movements can directly affect focus, memory, mood, and disposition. It's as if the brain were the CEO of a company. If energy peaks and troughs, it loses the ability to make clear decisions and keep the team running smoothly. But if the supply is stable and efficient, everything flows smoothly. And that's where apple cider vinegar comes in. While many people only know it as a digestive or weight loss aid, what few know is that the acetic acid and bioactive compounds present in it can modulate glucose levels, influence neurotransmitters, and even impact the gut-brain axis, promoting greater mental clarity and less fatigue. In other words, apple cider vinegar isn't just a condiment, it can be a tool for optimizing brain energy and mental health. In this guide, we'll delve deep into this universe. Over the next few chapters, you'll discover how apple cider vinegar directly influences energy metabolism, preventing those mid-afternoon energy slumps that kill your productivity. How it contributes to regulating hormones linked to stress and appetite, helping you maintain emotional balance and prolonged focus. How it acts on the gut-brain axis, strengthening the microbiome and impacting neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. And of course, practical strategies for integrating this ally into your routine safely and without overdoing it. All of this is educational, with science translated into simple language, inspiring stories, and reflections that will show how small habits can generate big transformations in the brain and in life. And here's an invitation. Stay with me until the end of this video, because each chapter is designed to build a complete understanding, connecting tradition, science, and practice. If you already use apple cider vinegar, you'll discover new reasons to continue. If you don't use it yet, you might realize it could be exactly what you need to improve your energy, focus, and even your quality of life. Before continuing, I want you to ask yourself one question. What would my life be like if I had more mental clarity, less fatigue, and more emotional balance every day? The answer may be just a spoonful of apple cider vinegar away. To understand how apple cider vinegar can impact our energy, focus, and mental clarity, we first need to understand how the brain works in terms of energy production. Think of your body as a complex power plant, full of cables and generators. The main fuel that keeps this plant running is glucose. However, unlike a simple machine, our body is able to switch between different energy sources, such as glucose and fat, to keep everything balanced. And apple cider vinegar plays a strategic role in this process. The brain, specifically, is a high-energy cost organ. It needs a constant flow of glucose, or at specific times, ketone bodies derived from fat. If this energy supply undergoes sudden fluctuations, such as spikes and drops in glucose levels, the first symptoms appear precisely in the mind: lack of focus, drowsiness, fatigue, irritability, and even anxiety. This is why, after a meal rich in simple carbohydrates, many people experience that mental blackout a few hours later. Now, Where does apple cider vinegar fit into this equation? The secret lies in acetic acid, its main active ingredient. Studies show that acetic acid can reduce the speed of carbohydrate digestion, slowing the release of glucose into the blood and preventing these spikes and drops. It's as if it acts as an energy moderator, ensuring a more stable and constant flow of fuel to the brain. This means more hours of continuous focus, fewer mood swings, and a more balanced energy level throughout the day. Furthermore, acetic acid can directly influence mitochondria, which are like the batteries of our cells. These organelles transform glucose and fatty acids into ATP, the body's energy currency. Apple cider vinegar has been associated with increased mitochondrial efficiency, which translates into more available energy, less fatigue, and greater mental stamina. Imagine you have a fleet of cars. If the engines are dirty and out of tune, they consume a lot of fuel and perform poorly. If they are clean and tuned, the same fuel will last much longer. Apple cider vinegar, in a way, helps tune the cellular engines. But it doesn't stop there. There's another fundamental point: the gut-brain axis. Science now recognizes that the gut is not only a digestive organ, but also a veritable second brain, full of neurons and directly connected to the central nervous system. About 90% of serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter, is produced in the gut, and the balance of this production depends on the health of the gut microbiota. Because apple cider vinegar is fermented, it contains organic acids and polyphenols that can promote the growth of beneficial bacteria, contributing to a healthier microbiome. This intestinal balance directly impacts mood, mental clarity, and even sleep regulation. Another fascinating aspect is hormonal modulation. Apple cider vinegar can improve insulin sensitivity, reducing insulin resistance. This means the body can utilize glucose more efficiently, avoiding buildup and fluctuations. Since insulin is closely linked to stress, appetite, and even thyroid hormones, this regulation also generates positive effects on mood and disposition. In short, apple cider vinegar helps avoid the famous hormonal roller coaster that drains mental energy. Let's imagine this simply. Think of your body as a company. The brain is the general manager. Glucose is the financial resources that flow in to maintain operations. Mitochondria are the energy managers, responsible for transforming resources into results. And the gut is the relationship department, which manages the organizational climate and keeps everyone motivated. If each department works in harmony, the company thrives. But if there are flaws such as chaotic resources, inefficient managers, or poor communication between departments, chaos ensues. Apple cider vinegar fits into this metaphor as an efficient external consultant, helping to stabilize finances, improve managerial efficiency, and strengthen the organizational climate. The result: greater productivity, clarity in decision-making, and long-term sustainability. And this leads us to an important reflection. How many times have you blamed yourself for a lack of discipline or focus, when in fact the problem was the fuel you were providing your brain? Often, it's not a lack of willpower, but rather an imbalanced physiology. Adjusting small habits, like incorporating apple cider vinegar correctly, can be the detail that makes all the difference in your mental performance. Stay with me, because we'll dive into the proven benefits of apple cider vinegar for the brain and mental energy. You'll see how it can impact everything from memory to fatigue prevention, bringing balance to body and mind. When we talk about mental energy, clarity, and fatigue prevention, we enter a territory that directly impacts the daily lives of almost everyone. Who hasn't complained about constant fatigue, lack of focus, or feeling foggy, or even having difficulty concentrating on simple daily tasks? Interestingly, many of these complaints aren't just linked to overwork or lack of sleep, but rather to the biochemical functioning of the body and brain. This is where apple cider vinegar, ACV, stands out as a powerful natural ally, with effects proven both by practical experience and recent scientific research. 1. Glucose stabilization for stable brain energy. The brain is extremely dependent on glucose, but it doesn't handle sudden spikes and drops well. Imagine a light bulb connected to unstable wiring. It flickers, turns off, and comes on irregularly. This is how your mind works when blood sugar fluctuates. Apple cider vinegar, thanks to its acetic acid, reduces the speed of carbohydrate digestion and helps stabilize glucose levels. This translates into more linear mental energy, less post-meal drowsiness, and more focus throughout the day. Studies show that people who consumed apple cider vinegar with carbohydrate-rich meals had lower blood sugar spikes and consequently reported greater energy in the following hours. This can be crucial for professionals who require long hours of concentration or students facing marathon study sessions. 2. Effect on mitochondria, more energy, less fatigue. If the body were a city, mitochondria would be its power plants. They produce ATP, the energy molecule essential for all cellular activity. Over time, oxidative stress, poor diet, and excess glucose can impair the functioning of these plants. Apple cider vinegar, containing acetic acid, antioxidants, and polyphenols, helps reduce this oxidative stress and improve mitochondrial efficiency. In practice, this means that brain cells produce energy more efficiently, delaying the feeling of mental fatigue. People who regularly consume apple cider vinegar report feeling more awake and productive throughout the day, even when performing repetitive or lengthy tasks. 3. Effect on the gut microbiome and the gut-brain axis. The gut is not only a digestive organ, but also a producer of neurotransmitters and a regulator of the nervous system. It is estimated that 90% of serotonin, a neurotransmitter linked to well-being, is produced there. Apple cider vinegar, resulting from a natural fermentation process, contains bioactive compounds that feed beneficial bacteria and help balance the microbiota. This balance directly impacts mood, mental clarity, and even sleep quality. There is already evidence that people with a healthier microbiome have a lower risk of depression, anxiety, and cognitive disorders. Therefore, apple cider vinegar indirectly acts as a modulator of mood and mental clarity, strengthening the link between the gut and the brain. For improved insulin sensitivity and hormonal balance, another critical point for brain energy is insulin resistance. When cells don't respond well to insulin, glucose doesn't enter efficiently, creating a feeling of lack of energy. Even when there's sugar circulating in the blood, apple cider vinegar helps improve insulin sensitivity, allowing cells to better utilize available glucose. This not only prevents metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes, but also ensures a stable supply of fuel for the brain. Furthermore, this effect regulates hormones related to appetite, stress, and even physical fitness, promoting overall balance. 5. Mental clarity and memory. Emerging research is exploring the impact of apple cider vinegar on cognitive function. Although many studies are in their early stages, it has been observed that regular consumption can reduce inflammatory markers associated with neural degeneration. Since chronic inflammation is directly linked to memory problems and diseases like Alzheimer's, this makes apple cider vinegar a potential ally in preventing cognitive decline. In practical terms, people who use apple cider vinegar report greater mental clarity, less feeling of fogginess, and even better performance on tasks that require prolonged focus. 6. Reduced fatigue and increased daily energy. Many attribute fatigue solely to lack of sleep, but it can also be the result of toxin buildup, inflammation, and metabolic imbalances. Apple cider vinegar has a gentle detoxifying effect, helping the liver and kidneys filter waste. With less stress, the body responds with more energy. Furthermore, acetic acid aids in post-exercise muscle recovery by reducing lactic acid buildup. This contributes to a more stable physical and mental state, especially in active people. 7. Impact on mood and motivation. As we've seen, apple cider vinegar's action acts on the intestines and, consequently, on neurotransmitters linked to mood, by strengthening the microbiota and stabilizing glucose levels. It reduces emotional swings, that feeling of irritation or sadness for no apparent reason. People suffering from adrenal fatigue or chronic stress may notice a greater sense of calm and clarity when incorporating apple cider vinegar into their routine. 8. Practical examples from everyday life. A student who suffers from drowsiness and fatigue after lunch can dilute a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in water before the meal. The result will be more balanced digestion and less drowsiness while studying. A professional facing long hours of meetings can replace excessive soda or coffee with a refreshing drink made with apple cider vinegar and lemon, ensuring stable energy and mental focus. People prone to anxiety may benefit from regular use of vinegar as part of a gut health strategy, helping to regulate mood and reduce feelings of mental fatigue. Chapter conclusion. Apple cider vinegar isn't a magic bullet, but when used correctly, it can act as a natural regulator of mental energy, helping to balance glucose, improve gut health, boost mitochondria, and even protect the brain against inflammation. In a world where mental exhaustion has become commonplace, it presents itself as a simple, accessible, and highly effective tool for regaining focus, clarity, and energy. If you've ever felt your mind shut down in the middle of an important task, stay with me. I'll show you exactly how to apply apple cider vinegar to your daily routine to reap these benefits, with dosages, timings, and practical strategies. Now that you understand how apple cider vinegar works in the body to generate mental clarity, focus, stable energy, and prevent fatigue, the most important moment has arrived. Learning how to apply it practically and safely in your daily life. There's no point in simply knowing the benefits without integrating them into your routine. Below, you'll find a complete guide with suggested times, doses, combinations, and creative ways to consume it that enhance its effects on the brain and body. 1. The best way to consume correct dilution apple cider vinegar is highly acidic, which means it should never be consumed pure. Apple cider vinegar is highly acidic, which means it should never be consumed neat. The acidity can damage tooth enamel, irritate the throat, and even cause stomach discomfort in some people. Therefore, the best way to consume it is to dilute it with 200 milliliters to 300 milliliters of water for every 1 tablespoon, 15 milliliters of apple cider vinegar. This dilution ensures efficient absorption while protecting the lining of the digestive system. You can consume this mixture on an empty stomach in the morning. Many experts recommend consuming apple cider vinegar on an empty stomach in the morning because the body is more receptive to nutrient absorption and metabolic adjustments. By drinking it right after waking up, you help wake up the digestive system, regulate stomach pH, and prepare the body to metabolize food throughout the day. This simple habit can prevent sudden energy fluctuations that result in mental fatigue and morning drowsiness. Another practical option is to consume it 30 minutes before main meals. This strategy has 2 advantages. It improves food digestion and helps avoid post-meal blood sugar spikes, which means fewer energy fluctuations and more stability for the brain. After all, who hasn't felt that heavy drowsiness after lunch? Apple cider vinegar acts as a kind of natural regulator, keeping glucose release slower and more balanced. For those looking to improve focus and concentration during work or studies, a good idea is to use apple cider vinegar in a natural energizing drink mid-afternoon. Imagine something simple: water-chilled mineral water, a spoonful of apple cider vinegar, a few drops of fresh lemon, and, if desired, a pinch of ground cinnamon. This elixir can replace artificial beverages full of sugar or excessive caffeine, providing mental clarity without the crash effect that coffee or energy drinks often produce. 2. Smart combinations to enhance its effect on the brain. Apple cider vinegar is an excellent ally, but when combined with other foods or natural supplements, its power multiplies. Some practical combinations include apple cider vinegar plus raw honey, in addition to softening the acidic taste. Honey provides slower release glucose and antioxidant compounds that nourish the brain. This combination has been called a vitality tonic in ancient traditions. Apple cider vinegar plus turmeric plus black pepper. Turmeric has anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective properties, and the piperine in pepper helps with the absorption of curcumin. Together with vinegar, they form a true shield against brain inflammation. Apple cider vinegar plus green tea. Brewing warm green tea and adding a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar can be a powerful option for mental energy, as green tea provides L-theanine and mild caffeine, resulting in calm focus. Apple cider vinegar in omega-3 salads, fish like salmon and sardines, accompanied by leafy greens and seasoned with olive oil and apple cider vinegar, deliver a cocktail of nutrients that the brain simply loves. These combinations not only diversify consumption, but also create a synergy between bioactive compounds, promoting both physical and mental energy. 3. Recommended doses and safety. Studies indicate that consuming 15 to 30 milliliters per day, 1 to 2 tablespoons, is sufficient for consistent benefits. This amount can be divided into 2 doses, one in the morning and another before lunch or dinner. It is essential to respect this limit, as excessive consumption can cause unwanted effects, such as gastric irritation, potassium imbalance in the blood, and even damage to tooth enamel. Another crucial point is that people with specific conditions, such as gastritis, ulcers, severe acid reflux, or taking medications like diuretics and insulins, should consult a doctor before starting regular use. Vinegar is a powerful ally, but it needs to be used judiciously. To further protect your oral health, a practical tip is to use a straw when drinking the mixture, reducing direct contact of the acid with your teeth. After consumption, rinsing your mouth with water also helps prevent tooth erosion. 4. Small habits, big results. One of the biggest mistakes when it comes to health and brain energy is believing that results appear overnight. Apple cider vinegar is not an instant miracle, but rather a tool for fine-tuning the body. The real secret lies in consistency. Imagine that your mind is like an orchestra. For the music to sound harmonious, each instrument needs to be in tune. Apple cider vinegar acts as a subtle tuner, aiding digestion, stabilizing blood sugar, regulating hormones, and supporting the gut microbiome. These adjustments may seem small, but added together over weeks and months, they result in a symphony of mental clarity, focus, and sustained energy. So, if you want to experience the benefits, don't worry about striving for perfection or radical changes. Start with a diluted tablespoon a day and observe your body's signals. More energy upon waking, less afternoon fatigue, sharper memory, a feeling of a clearer mind. These small indicators are proof that your body is responding positively. It's curious to see how simple and accessible solutions are often overlooked in a world that seeks complicated and expensive answers. A bottle of organic apple cider vinegar, with the mother of vinegar preserved, can cost less than a cup of coffee at many coffee shops. However, its impact, when used correctly and consistently, can be unparalleled in terms of health and energy. So, if you've made it this far, the invitation is clear. Try it for yourself. Put this information to work. Incorporate apple cider vinegar into your routine and give your brain the chance to perform at its best. Remember, mental clarity, stable energy, and focus aren't privileges for the few, but the result of daily choices. A spoonful today can mean increased productivity, creativity, and even greater emotional balance tomorrow. If this content resonates with you, try starting tomorrow morning with your first glass of water and apple cider vinegar. After a few days, observe how your body and mind react. And if you notice benefits, share this practice with someone close to you. After all, health and energy multiply when shared. When we talk about apple cider vinegar, especially in the context of mental focus, brain clarity, and stable energy, it's common for many doubts, exaggerations, and even miraculous promises to arise. After all, we live in a time where the search for quick fixes dominates, and any natural food ends up being both placed on pedestals and the target of criticism. But where is the truth amidst so many myths? To truly understand the role of apple cider vinegar, We need to separate science from popular belief. What is a real effect, and what is merely expectation? This process isn't just intellectual. It's a way to empower the viewer to make informed choices and not be fooled by false promises or incomplete information. 1. Myth. Apple cider vinegar is an instant energy. Many people believe that drinking a spoonful of pure apple cider vinegar is like drinking coffee or an energy drink. The truth is that vinegar doesn't provide caffeine, taurine, or direct stimulant compounds. What it does is optimize metabolic processes, such as stabilizing glucose, improving digestion, and aiding nutrient absorption. This effect doesn't generate an artificial spike in energy, but rather a sustainable and stable energy that reduces fatigue throughout the day. This is precisely what makes vinegar special. It doesn't create dependency or highs and lows, but rather promotes balance. 2. Truth. It can indirectly improve mental clarity. Apple cider vinegar doesn't act directly on the brain like a psychoactive drug, but it influences mechanisms that, together, generate mental clarity. By improving digestion and the gut microbiome, it promotes the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. Furthermore, by regulating glucose, it prevents spikes and dips that cause mental confusion. Science calls this an indirect systemic effect. It's as if vinegar isn't the main actor on stage, but rather the backstage crew that sets the stage for mental performance to shine. 3. Myth. The more vinegar, the better the result. This is one of the biggest misconceptions. Some people believe that if one spoonful is good, 3 or 4 spoonfuls will be even better. But too much can irritate the stomach, wear down tooth enamel, and cause digestive discomfort. The truth is, the key is the correct dose, 15 to 30 milliliters per day, diluted in water or consumed with meals. More than that doesn't increase the benefits. In fact, it can be detrimental. For truth, vinegar can help prevent fatigue. Studies show that acetic acid improves the efficiency with which muscles use glucose, which helps with energy production. This means less exhaustion after meals and greater stability throughout the day. It doesn't replace rest or a good diet, but it helps keep the body in good shape. This is especially true in people who suffer from insulin resistance or sudden energy fluctuations after consuming carbohydrates. 5. Myth. Vinegar replaces medication or medical treatments. One of the biggest dangers of exaggerated information is believing that apple cider vinegar can cure depression, anxiety, or neurodegenerative diseases on its own. This is not true. Vinegar can complement a healthy routine, but it does not replace medical monitoring, therapies, or prescription medications. This truth is essential to avoid frustration or neglect. It is important to understand that brain health requires a set of care, and vinegar is just one piece of the puzzle. 6. Truth. It can help with hormonal balance. Hormones are closely linked to brain health and energy levels. Changes in insulin, cortisol, and even melatonin directly impact mood, disposition, and focus. Apple cider vinegar, by stabilizing glucose and supporting the gut microbiota, helps maintain a more balanced balance of these hormones. For example, fewer sugar spikes mean fewer insulin spikes and less activation of the stress hormone cortisol. This results in less mental fatigue and better emotional stability. 7. Myth. Vinegar is just a placebo. Some critics claim that vinegar's effects are merely psychological, but science has shown, through clinical studies, that it actually reduces the glycemic response after meals, improves the digestion of certain nutrients, and has antimicrobial action. These results are not just the result of suggestion, but of real biochemical processes. Of course, there is also a motivational component. When someone adopts the vinegar habit, they often begin to care for other aspects of their health, and this multiplies the results. But this does not diminish vinegar's relevance as a real physiological agent. 8. Reflection on myths and truths. Myths are often born from exaggerations. A real benefit is magnified, distorted, and sold as a miracle cure. The truth lies in balance. recognizing vinegar's limits, but also appreciating what it can truly offer. When incorporating apple cider vinegar into your routine, it's important to have realistic expectations. It's not magic, but it's powerful when combined with adequate sleep, good nutrition, hydration, and exercise. Imagine someone who has struggled with mental fatigue for years. A friend recommends apple cider vinegar. This person starts using it daily and, within a few days, feels small improvements, less post-meal drowsiness, a slight increase in energy. Excited, she believes she's found the cure, but by overdoing it, she ends up with gastric discomfort and giving up. If she had followed proper guidelines, she would have discovered that the secret wasn't in excess, but in consistency. This story shows how fine the line between myth and truth is, and how accurate information is essential. By demystifying apple cider vinegar, we gain clarity not only about the food itself, but also about our own mindset. We often seek miracles when what we need is consistency. Vinegar won't transform your mind overnight, but it will pave the way for you to build lasting energy, focus, and clarity with proper habits. The next time you hear exaggerated promises about apple cider vinegar, remember, knowledge is power. Use this power to apply the vinegar correctly, consistently, and consciously. This is how it truly becomes a tool for your energy and focus. When we talk about brain health, focus, and energy, it's impossible to separate the effects of apple cider vinegar from a larger perspective, lifestyle as a whole. Modern science has proven that mental clarity, energy, and fatigue prevention don't depend on a magic pill, but on a set of daily habits that feed off each other. Apple cider vinegar enters this equation as a catalyst, a fulcrum that connects ancient traditions with contemporary biology. But there's a fundamental question. How can we transform the use of apple cider vinegar into something more than just an isolated practice? How can we integrate it into a sustainable lifestyle, one that brings not only individual benefits, but also a positive impact on our daily lives, society, and even the environment? 1. The less is more philosophy applied to health. We live in an age of excess. Too much information, too much stimulation, too many ultra-processed foods, too many commitments that drain our mental energy. Apple cider vinegar, simple in its essence, reminds us that the path to clarity can lie in the basics done well. A spoonful diluted in water may not seem grand, but it's precisely this simplicity that carries depth. A sustainable lifestyle, in this sense, begins when we choose easy-to-maintain practices. Instead of seeking radical diets or temporary solutions, we adopt small, consistent adjustments. Apple cider vinegar fits perfectly into this philosophy. Affordable, accessible, natural, and versatile. It teaches us that health doesn't have to be complicated. 2. The bridge between individual health and environmental awareness. Another little discussed aspect is that apple cider vinegar can be a symbol of conscious consumption. Unlike artificial supplements or products packaged with preservatives and chemicals, organic, artisanal apple cider vinegar respects natural fermentation cycles and values sustainable agriculture. By choosing a quality vinegar, you're not only taking care of your brain and energy, but also supporting agricultural practices that preserve the soil, encourage local producers, and reduce environmental impact. Small consumption choices have huge repercussions, and this connects personal health to the health of the planet. 3. Mental energy and discipline. A sustainable cycle. Another essential point is understanding that focus and clarity come not only from nutrients, but also from the discipline of sustaining habits over time. By regulating metabolism, stabilizing glucose levels, and balancing the gut microbiome, apple cider vinegar creates the biological conditions for stable energy. But stable energy only translates into productivity and well-being when it is guided by consistent habits. Here's the thought. What's the point of having more energy if it's wasted on distractions, pointless social media, or tasks that don't build your future? A sustainable lifestyle is about channeling this renewed energy into what really matters. learning, healthy relationships, personal growth, and contributing positively to the world. For small habits that create big results, let's look at practical examples of how to integrate apple cider vinegar into a sustainable lifestyle. Mindful mornings, starting the day with a glass of warm water with apple cider vinegar, can be accompanied by a few minutes of deep breathing or meditation. This combination rebalances both the body and mind. Balanced diet, using vinegar as a dressing on salads or steamed vegetables, reduces the need for processed sauces high in sugar and fat. In addition to being healthier, this choice reduces plastic waste and packaging. Mental energy routine, replacing artificial beverages with natural combinations of apple cider vinegar, green tea, or lemon, helps maintain focus without overloading the body. Preventative care, instead of always resorting to remedies for heartburn, fatigue, or slow digestion, regular and conscious use of vinegar can prevent problems naturally. These small changes have a cumulative effect. Over the course of months, they become a new lifestyle, simpler, more efficient, and aligned with the search for mental clarity. Imagine someone who for years lived tired, lacking energy, and with a perpetually foggy mind. This person relied on excessive coffee, fast food, and processed foods, and believed that fatigue was just part of adult life. One day, they decide to try small changes. A glass of water with apple cider vinegar every morning, more fresh vegetables in my meals, and fewer ultra-processed foods. The results weren't instantaneous, but within a few weeks, I started waking up feeling more energetic. My concentration at work increased, and even my mood improved. This transformation didn't come from a miracle cure, but from a sustainable, easy-to-maintain habit that connected with other lifestyle adjustments. This fictional story could be any of us, and that's what makes apple cider vinegar so special. It doesn't require radical changes, but inspires consistent changes that over time build a healthier, more balanced life. 6. Chapter End. Motivation. The true impact of apple cider vinegar isn't just in the isolated benefits it provides, but in the movement of consciousness it awakens. When you choose to care for your digestion, your brain power, and your focus with a natural practice, you open up space to rethink your entire lifestyle. Mental clarity isn't just the absence of fatigue, but the ability to make better decisions. And every decision aligned with a sustainable lifestyle is a building block for your long-term health. Starting tomorrow, try not only drinking apple cider vinegar, but also associating that moment with a reflection. What small, sustainable choice can I make today to take care of my health and the planet? If everyone who watches this video adopts this habit, we will not only have healthier brains, but also a more balanced future. After this journey through the fascinating world of apple cider vinegar and its relationship with the brain, energy, and hormonal balance, it is time to look to the future. What can you really expect by applying this knowledge to your life? This is one of the most important questions, because many people give up on healthy habits simply by creating unrealistic expectations or by not understanding that transformation is a process. Apple cider vinegar isn't a magic switch that turns the mind into turbo mode. It's like an instrument tuner, discreet, often imperceptible, but essential for keeping the music of your life in tune. When integrated into a balanced routine, it brings cumulative results, which add up day after day until they create a solid change. 1. Short-term results. First weeks. In the first few weeks, the most noticeable results, tend to be related to digestion and post-meal energy. People who used to feel a heaviness in their stomach or drowsiness right after eating report that vinegar reduces this sensation. This happens because acetic acid helps balance blood sugar levels, preventing sudden spikes and drops. Another initial result is a slight mental clarity. It's not a burst of energy, but a feeling of being more awake, less foggy. Small everyday details, like remembering simple tasks or staying focused on a conversation, begin to flow better. 2. Medium-term results. 1 to 3 months with continued use, cumulative effects emerge. The gut microbiota begins to rebalance. hormones related to appetite and mood become more stable, and the body responds with more vitality. During this period, it's common to notice more energy upon waking. You no longer rely as much on caffeine to feel alive, more stable focus when studying or working, distractions seem less invasive, reduced mental fatigue, long workdays don't drag you down as much as they used to. These results reflect not only the effect of the vinegar itself, but also the transformation of habits it inspires: drinking more water, preparing better meals, and taking care of your body holistically. 3. Long-term results. 3 months to 1 year, the real impact appears in the long term. Studies show that, with consistent use of vinegar combined with a healthy lifestyle, there are measurable improvements in insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammatory markers, and even balanced cholesterol levels. In the mental realm, this translates into greater clarity and emotional stability, fewer mood swings, and more resilience in the face of stress. Improved memory, thanks to indirect microbiome support and a more balanced metabolism. Sustained energy throughout the day, no ups and downs, just a steady, reliable rhythm. This is where apple cider vinegar stops being just a trick and becomes an integral part of a transformative lifestyle. 4. Inspiration through real-life examples. Think of someone who worked long hours and came home exhausted, barely able to interact with their family. By adopting small changes, including apple cider vinegar, that person noticed less fatigue, more clarity, and, above all, more presence in their daily lives. Or the student who suffered from lapses in concentration and needed gallons of coffee to keep up. Over time, by balancing her diet and including vinegar, she found more stable energy and more productive focus, without the anxiety that came with excess caffeine. These stories aren't about miracles, but about consistent changes. Vinegar doesn't transform lives on its own, but it is a powerful ally for those who decide to move towards a more conscious lifestyle. 5. Reflection. Small changes, big impacts. Perhaps the greatest lesson is that we don't need complex solutions for extraordinary results. Often, the secret lies in small, consistent practices. Apple cider vinegar is proof of this. Something simple, accessible, and, when used correctly, capable of influencing profound processes in the body and mind. This reflection invites us to look beyond vinegar. What other small habits can you adopt today that, over the months and years, will yield gigantic results? 6. The role of vinegar in hormonal balance. We mustn't forget that much of mental fatigue and loss of energy is linked to hormonal imbalances. Vinegar doesn't act on these hormones alone, but by improving blood sugar and gut health, it acts as an indirect regulator. This means fewer insulin spikes, less cortisol stress, and more harmonious serotonin and dopamine production. This balance is silent but noticeable. Less irritability, more serenity, and a feeling of being in control of your own energy. And here's the invitation: don't wait for the perfect moment to start. The secret isn't in waiting for a big milestone, but in taking a small step today. A spoonful of vinegar diluted in water before a meal may seem like a small thing, but when repeated with discipline, it becomes the foundation for transformation. If this content resonated with you, share it with someone who is also seeking more energy, focus, and mental clarity. Sometimes, the change that's missing in someone's life starts with simple information like this. 8. Inspiring closing. Apple cider vinegar isn't just an acidic liquid in a bottle. It's a symbol of how nature offers us accessible solutions to modern problems. It reminds us that the human body is a masterpiece that responds to subtle stimuli with powerful results. Ultimately, the greatest benefit of vinegar isn't just physical or mental, it's the message it carries. Transformation happens when we choose, every day. Throughout this video, we've seen how apple cider vinegar can influence our brain, our energy, and even hormonal balance. But to make this knowledge even more vivid, it's time to delve into real stories. bring in cutting-edge science, and reflect on how such a simple habit can be the key to unlocking hidden potential in our lives. 1. Stories that connect. Imagine a woman named Mariana, a 38-year-old executive and mother of 2, who lived in a constant state of mental fatigue. Her mornings were fueled by coffee, and her afternoons were filled with ultra-processed snacks to keep her energy up. She discovered apple cider vinegar almost by chance in a conversation with a friend. At first, Mariana didn't believe something so simple could make a difference. But after trying it a spoonful before meals, she noticed she no longer felt that crash after lunch. Gradually, her focus improved and her mental energy stabilized. More than that, she rediscovered the pleasure of being present with her children without feeling constantly exhausted. Stories like hers show that it's not just about science or theory, but about lives transformed by small, consistent choices. 2. Advanced science. The gut-brain axis. In recent years, science has revealed one of the most revolutionary topics in medicine, the gut-brain axis. It's the direct communication between the gut microbiota and the central nervous system. This dialogue occurs through the vagus nerve. Neurotransmitters produced in the gut such as serotonin and even inflammatory molecules. What you eat, how you digest it, and how you care for your gut directly influence your mood, mental clarity, and energy. Apple cider vinegar acts as a gentle modulator of this system. It helps create a more acidic gut environment, which favors beneficial bacteria and hinders the proliferation of pathogens. This, in turn, impacts neurotransmitter production and reduces low-grade inflammation that saps brain energy. In other words, by improving your gut, you improve your mind. 3. Mental clarity and stress resistance. An interesting study published in the Journal of Functional Foods showed that compounds present in vinegar have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, helping to protect brain cells against oxidative stress. This type of stress is one of the main causes of mental fatigue and even premature brain aging. This means that, in the long term, simple habits like consuming apple cider vinegar can help not only in daily life, but also in preventing age-related cognitive decline. Another fascinating point is that vinegar appears to reduce the body's post-meal stress response. When we control glucose spikes, we also control the release of cortisol, the stress hormone. This balance helps us stay calm, even on hectic days. For reflection, the power of small habits. We live in an era where we seek grandiose solutions, expensive supplements, cutting-edge technologies, futuristic therapies, but we often forget that the greatest impact comes from small practices applied consistently. Apple cider vinegar teaches us exactly this. It's a liquid metaphor that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to align our daily choices with what our body already understands as natural. Ask yourself, what would happen if you decided, starting today, to cultivate a list of small habits like this? Drinking enough water, walking 20 minutes a day, taking care of your sleep, and adding vinegar before meals. The sum of these gestures can be the difference between an overwhelmed mind and a vibrant one. 5. The brain as an ally, not an enemy. Another important reflection is that many people treat the brain as an enemy. IQ unfocused. My mind won't stop. I'm always tired. But when we give the body the right resources, the brain stops being a source of frustration and becomes an ally. Apple cider vinegar, by stabilizing energy, regulating hormones, and supporting the microbiota, creates fertile ground for the brain to work in our favor. This changes the way we approach challenges, projects, and even our personal relationships. 6. Spiritual inspiration, ritual, and philosophical. In a way, we can look at vinegar as a symbol of discipline and humility. It's unglamorous, not rare, and inexpensive, yet it holds transformative power. This reminds us that the most powerful solutions are often hidden in simplicity. It's as if nature is reminding us, you don't need much to live better. Just use wisely what's already available. If you've made it this far, you already know. Apple cider vinegar isn't a magic potion. but it can be a powerful lever for transformation. So, here's the challenge. Try it for 30 days. Include a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in water before 2 main meals and observe how your body and mind react. Record your perceptions in a journal. Energy, clarity, mood. After 30 days, come back here and share your experience in the comments. This exchange may inspire others to start too. And, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and share this video with someone you love. Small gestures like this can transform not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. 8. Deep closure. When we think of mental clarity, energy, and focus, we're not just talking about productivity. We're talking about living with presence, feeling that every moment matters, being awake to life in its fullness. Apple cider vinegar, in this context, is more than a food. It's a reminder that true health arises from the integration of body, mind, and conscious choices. So, when you look at this simple bottle, see it as an invitation. Cultivate a life with more energy, clarity, and balance. Now that we understand the science behind apple cider vinegar and its impact on energy, mental clarity, and hormonal regulation, it's time to explore how to apply it strategically in your daily life. This chapter goes beyond the basics. We'll analyze schedules, food combinations, complementary practices, and tricks to transform simple habits into concrete results. 1. Morning routine for focus and mood. Morning is the ideal time to activate your metabolism and prepare your brain for the day. Upon waking, your body is in a fasting state, with low blood sugar and hormones still adjusting. Taking a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in a large glass of warm water before breakfast helps too. Stabilize blood sugar levels throughout the morning, prepare the intestines to absorb nutrients, stimulate a gentle release of energy from the liver, increase alertness and mental clarity early in the day. A practical tip: add a pinch of cinnamon or a little natural honey if you want to soften the flavor without compromising the metabolic effects. 2. Strategic lunch to maintain focus. The post-lunch period is known for the energy crash, when many feel drowsy and have difficulty concentrating. Here, apple cider vinegar can be a powerful ally. When preparing salads or meals rich in complex carbohydrates, add 1 tablespoon of vinegar to the dressing. This helps too reduce post-meal glucose spikes, prevent fatigue caused by hormonal fluctuations, improve protein and fat digestion, support your gut microbiota by boosting the production of neurotransmitters that keep your brain alert. Practical analogy: think of vinegar as your energy buffer. It softens the impact of food, keeping your focus steady. 3. Snacks in small strategic doses during the day, especially during intense study or work hours. Small doses can be incorporated creatively. Examples: mix apple cider vinegar with sparkling water and mint for a refreshing drink. Use vinegar in vegetable or protein marinades for an afternoon snack. Prepare quick sauces with olive oil, vinegar, and herbs for snacks, like carrot sticks or cucumber. The goal is to maintain a consistent energy level, preventing the brain from relying exclusively on sugar or caffeine to function. 4. Before workouts and cognitive activities. If you engage in physical exercise or activities that require intense concentration, vinegar can play a complementary role. Light pre-workout. Dilute vinegar in water 20 to 30 minutes before exercising. Cognitive support. Taking vinegar before studying, reading, or working on complex tasks helps maintain clarity and reduce mental fatigue. Studies suggest this glycemic stabilization improves physical and cognitive endurance, allowing you to maintain rhythm, focus, and motivation without sudden energy drops. 5. Nighttime routine and recovery. Although vinegar is most commonly used during the day, it can also support hormonal and digestive recovery at night. In small doses diluted in water, it helps control blood sugar before bed. It reduces inflammation and aids digestion, promoting deeper sleep. It supports muscle regeneration and the production of neurotransmitters essential for memory and learning. Practical tip: don't overdo it before bed. 1 teaspoon diluted in water is enough to obtain benefits without reflux. 6. Smart food pairings to enhance the effects of apple cider vinegar on the brain and energy. Combine it with foods rich in protein and good fats. Eggs, avocado, nuts. Add natural fermented foods such as kefir or sauerkraut to strengthen the microbiota. Use antioxidant spices such as turmeric, pepper, and ginger, along with vinegar, for cellular protection and reduced inflammation. This combination creates a virtuous cycle: balanced gut, stable energy, and sustained mental focus. 7. Behavioral strategies and complementary habits besides direct intake. Small practices increase the effectiveness of apple cider vinegar. Constant hydration. A hydrated body absorbs nutrients better. Light exercise throughout the day, walking or stretching, helps circulation and oxygenate the brain. Short cognitive breaks. A 5-minute rest every hour maintains focus without overload. Consistent sleep. Vinegar helps, but does not replace adequate rest. The secret is not to overdo it, but to consistently align small actions. By incorporating apple cider vinegar at strategic times, combined with appropriate foods and smart habits, you transform a simple practice into a mechanism for sustained energy, mental clarity, and sustained focus. It's not just about physical health. It's about quality of life, productivity, and a sense of control over your mind and body. Here's the practical challenge. Choose 3 times of your day to include apple cider vinegar: morning, lunch, and pre-workout. Observe how your energy, focus, and mental clarity change for a week. Record everything in a journal and compare your results. And, of course, share your findings in the comments, inspire others, and strengthen your health and wellness community. It's time to consolidate everything we've explored about apple cider vinegar for energy, mental focus, and hormonal regulation. This chapter not only recaps the main lessons learned, but also shows how to transform knowledge into lasting habits and real results. The idea is that, by the end of this reading, you'll have a clear and motivating action plan to incorporate apple cider vinegar into your life sustainably, experiencing the benefits of a harmonious body and mind. 1. Recap of the main benefits. Throughout the previous chapters, we detailed how apple cider vinegar works: digestion and gut microbiome, improved nutrient absorption, balanced gut flora, prevention of digestive discomfort, glycemic and hormonal regulation, energy stability throughout the day, insulin control, reduced fatigue, energy, focus, and mental clarity, support essential neurotransmitters, prevention of cognitive decline, increased productivity, cardiovascular protection and immunity, reduced inflammation, circulation support, natural antimicrobial action, general well-being, a feeling of lightness, physical and mental disposition, and encouragement to practice healthy habits. These effects, while subtle at first, accumulate consistently, transforming small adjustments into noticeable results over weeks and months. 2. How to measure results. Apple cider vinegar is not an instant magic solution, but rather a catalyst for healthy habits. To track progress, use simple monitoring strategies: energy and focus, diary record times of greatest clarity, and moments of fatigue. Digestion notes. Note if there is a reduction in bloating, heartburn, or discomfort. Sleep and mood monitoring. See if your night's rest becomes more restorative. Weekly reflection. Compare weekly notes to identify patterns and necessary adjustments. This practice self-awareness strengthens discipline and increases motivation, as you can concretely see the effects of apple cider vinegar on your body and mind. 3. Permanent incorporation strategies for apple cider vinegar. To have a real impact, it's essential to transform it into a sustainable habit. Here are some advanced strategies. Structured routine. Choose fixed times to consume the vinegar, creating a daily rhythm. Smart food integration. Combine vinegar with proteins, healthy fats, vegetables, and fermented foods. Consistent microhabits. Small, consistent doses generate more results than large, sporadic doses. Gradual adjustments. Start with 1 teaspoon. Increase as tolerated, always diluted. Alignment with lifestyle, sleep, exercise, hydration, and cognitive breaks enhance the effects. A mindset of progress, not perfection. Small daily improvements outweigh large one-off efforts. By applying these strategies, apple cider vinegar ceases to be just a supplement and becomes a tool for transforming the body and mind. Imagine the story of Clara, a professional who suffered from mental fatigue and irregular digestion. By incorporating apple cider vinegar into her morning routine, combined with small dietary changes and mindful breaks, she noticed greater mental clarity to manage complex projects, significant reduction in heartburn and bloating, stable energy throughout the day, reducing her dependence on coffee, more restful sleep, and motivation for light exercise. Her experience illustrates that the cumulative effects of apple cider vinegar, combined with consistent habits, promote real and lasting changes, inspiring anyone to follow this path. Apple cider vinegar is more than just a seasoning. It is a powerful ally for health, mental focus, and vitality. But its true power depends on consistency, paying attention to your body's signals, and integrating it with healthy habits. Ask yourself, am I willing to take small daily actions that add up to big results? Can I observe my body and mind carefully, adjusting habits as needed? Do I really want to transform my energy and mental clarity sustainably? Answering these questions and taking action is what separates those who are just familiar with apple cider vinegar from those who experience its benefits daily. Here's your immediate action. Choose 3 strategic times to include apple cider vinegar in your routine. Observe and record the effects on energy, focus, and digestion for a week. Share your progress, inspire others, and continue improving small daily actions. Remember, consistency trumps perfection. Each diluted spoonful of vinegar, each conscious pause, and each dietary adjustment are steps toward real transformation, leading you to a healthier body, a clearer mind, and sustainable energy. If you consistently apply what we explore in this video, apple cider vinegar will not be just a supplement, but a practical key to transforming your daily routine, your health, and your mental performance, positively impacting every aspect of your life.